My name is Rahini Kumar. I've been practicing Krishna consciousness for about 28 years. And we've been married 16-ish years.
Yes, and my name is Vaishnavi Dasi, and I've been in the movement for 23 years. And also been married for 16 years.
Yeah, at the same time.
That's right.
More or less. Yeah, so one thing we want to talk about is the difference between material and spiritual marriage. And one thing we understand is from basic understanding of Krishna consciousness has this beautiful distinction between our bodies and ourselves. So when we try to satisfy all our needs as a person, we usually go, body, mind, and soul. You've heard it. It's on the posters, get the bumper sticker, the t-shirt, but it's not really understanding what the soul is. The body's pretty much understood. The mind, a little bit less, but still, it's in common use. But the soul, that mysterious overused word, soul, is very clearly described in the Vedic scriptures.
And so when you put it all together, in spiritual marriages, we look at how we can actually come together to serve Krishna or serve God together. And but at the same time, it is a marriage, and we also look at the compatibility, which is the mind. We think alike, we have the same kind of interests. And body, obviously, there's got to be some sort of attraction if you want to get married.
Oh, I thought you were going to say difference. Yeah, there's also a difference.
So,
one. That would be kind of
there's a
boring,
lot
though.
of really nice people
We
out
are
there.
one.
Doesn't mean they're all going to be my husband. So yeah, these are all
It's a good thing.
important
Got a small
points. So
Yeah, so spiritual marriage versus material marriage. She mentioned a little bit about we're partners. Spiritual life is sometimes wonderful, sometimes blissful, always an adventure, and sometimes difficult, just like it is anywhere in the world. And so it's great to have a partner to live, to love, and to persevere with as partners, as friends, as colleagues.
that's true. And also, you were just mentioning, it made me think about that. You were just saying about the importance of like the spiritual aspect. A lot of time, because we live in the material world, whether we're spiritually married or not, we live in this material world, and there's always things coming up in the material world. You know, all of a sudden you lose your job, or our kid got cancer, which actually did happen. So there's a lot of things that do happen, and if you don't have that strong spiritual bond, many times it will break marriages. I know that when our son was diagnosed with cancer, we went to the American Cancer Society, and they were saying it was about 85% of the marriages after the child recovers. Because I guess, they're in a survival mode, and then when the child recovers, a lot of times it's at 85% of people divorce.
Yeah, in fact, we were sitting in a room with 80 other people, and said, okay, everybody there with their spouse, and everybody's kind of like, yeah, sort of, the mother was there, the father was there, but they weren't married anymore. In fact, we were one of 40 couples that were still together.
There isn't that many
And so how to survive the vicissitudes of the material world? By practicing spiritual life, it's very peaceful, it's beautiful, it gives some grounding, it gives some sense to your whole life, because bank accounts come and go.
Health comes and
Come and go, ups and downs with study, ups and downs with income, and the weather, and the politics, and all
and
of
the
things.
house, and
Yeah.
the plumbing, and a lot
Yeah.
of stuff.
Yeah, so how to survive with class.
That's right.
Yeah, you need to practice spiritual life. Otherwise, it's all madness, and you're riding the roller coaster. And so, spiritual life, especially chanting Hare Krishna deeply, devotionally on a regular basis, gives you that sobriety.
Actually, interestingly enough, when we were going through different, through the cancer, there was some counseling and other things they were teaching, and they were saying the importance of meditation. So even not just in Krishna consciousness, people are actually understanding that now, that just, thinking about material things will not do. Especially when you're going through a trial like that, I can tell you right now that it's totally meaningless. When your child's life is on the line, you don't think about, oh, what kind of car are we going to have next, or all these kind of things. And one thing that's really important is that even though we are married, we're also individuals, and it's not like we're merging into one person. I have my spiritual practices and he has his spiritual practices. We practice together, but when it comes to chanting Hare Krishna, we both chant. We both chant on our beads, and this is our time to commute with God. And that's very individual. And we're also, as parents, also giving this to our children as well. Understanding that when it comes to spiritual life, we're all flying our own planes. At the same time, the wonderful thing about being a family is we're on the same path together. And if one of us falls, the other one is there to pick them up and help. We're there to help one another. And that's very comforting. And it's just wonderful to have those spiritual values that I know that even though it was extremely difficult, my husband never left me. He stayed. And it was not because it was easy or there was a lot in it for him.
And my wife never left me. And not that it was easy or a lot in it for her. Yeah, she spoke a little bit about oneness in the diversity. So there's a oneness in mission, that we're all pulling on the same rough cart or pulling on the same rope, to a spiritual life that is completely satisfying, not just for ourselves, but our children.
Oh, yeah.
And so even difficulty in marriage life can be wonderful, can be learning. Like, one of the best things ever happened to us, our kid had cancer. Wouldn't wish it on anybody, wouldn't want to do it again, but if we would do it all over again, we would realize what lessons we learned. Like for myself, I learned to pray. I became devotional, calling out for shelter. And we were actually able to get some solace from our spiritual life. In fact, spiritual life is so wonderful that all good qualities come from it, because God has all qualities, and if we become godly in whatever small way we can, we get a little tiny fraction of a shadow of those wonderful qualities, and they're perfect for a perfect spiritual marriage.
And also another thing is all those miracles. You can actually see them. Our son is still alive today, and the doctors have said, they told me he would never walk or talk. He talks and walks. And we didn't know if he was going to live. And sometimes they called him the miracle boy. So we know that even though we did everything we could, materially speaking, the prayers made the whole difference. So it gives you this faith that even though you might not necessarily see God, in front of your eyes, he's there, because he's giving you so many signs. That's something that I would have never learned if I wasn't married to such a wonderful man and have beautiful children.
Am I blushing? So, thanks for coming.
Thank you so
Take
much.
care.